Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town of Port Royal, November 12th, 2025, 6:30 council meeting here in the Yvonne C. Butler Council Chambers at 700 Paris Avenue. At this time, we'll call the meeting to order. Start off with our Pledge of Allegiance. Councilman Guerrero, can you lead us in that?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilman Ashmore, please.
All right, let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the blessings of life. And Lord, thank you for this opportunity that you give us tonight to gather and do the business of our town. Lord, be with us each here tonight and give us the courage and the words and the wisdom to make decisions that are pleasing in your sight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Okay. All right, up first, as always, approval of minutes. We've got minutes from the public hearing of October 1st, 2025, minutes from the council workshop of October 1st, 2025, and minutes from the council meeting of October 8th, 2025. I entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved. Second.
Any subtractions, additions? Anything? No. With all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Up next, we have a proclamation. We had someone in the town reach out to us about a issue that was very dear to their heart and asked us if we could declare November 20th as World Pancreatic Cancer Day. We said absolutely. So if we would just entertain for a minute, I'm going to read this proclamation into the record. Well, declaring November 20th as World Pancreatic Cancer Day proclamation. Declaring November 20th as World Pancreatic Cancer Day in the town of Port Royal. Whereas in 2025, an estimated 67,440 people will be diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in the United States, and 51,980 will die from this disease. Whereas pancreatic cancer is one of the deadliest cancers, is currently the third leading cause of cancer death in the United States, and is projected to become the second leading cause around 2030. Whereas pancreatic cancer is the only major cancer with a 5-year relative survival rate at just 13%. Whereas when symptoms of pancreatic cancer present themselves, it is generally in later stages, and 90% of pancreatic cancer patients die within the first 5 years. Whereas approximately 820 deaths will occur in South Carolina in 2025. Whereas pancreatic cancer is the 7th most common cause of cancer-related deaths around the world. Whereas there is an estimated 510,992 new pancreatic cancer cases diagnosed worldwide in 2022. Whereas the good health and well-being of the residents of Port Royal are enhanced as a direct result of increased awareness about the symptoms and risks of pancreatic cancer and research into early detection, causes, and effective treatments. Therefore be resolved that I, Kevin Phillips, Mayor of the town of Port Royal, proclaim November 20th as World Pancreatic Cancer Day in the town of Port Royal. So, like I said, we had somebody reach out to that, and we just wanted to do that for them. They had some family members, and I'm sure we all know somebody in our lives, I know I do, that's been affected by cancer. It's not pancreatic cancer, it's some form of cancer. So we just wanted to kind of use that moment to bring awareness to that and do that for them. So absolutely. Rolling along, presentations. Beaufort County single-use plastics survey results. Ms. Julianne, how are you doing?
Okay, how are you here?
Good, thanks for being here with us.
Okay, I'm gonna try to move through this at a nice steady pace, because I know we've got some great promotions to announce after me, and I don't wanna hold that up for you all. So, thank you all. My name is Juliana Zadek. I am the Environmental Long-Range Planner at Beaufort County, and I will be presenting to you all on steps that the county is taking to consider amendments to the 2018 plastic bag ordinance. So we'll go through a few reasons why it's important to consider waste reduction strategies. I'll go over actions taken by a working group thus far. I'll cover our survey results and what they are indicating our amendments might consider, and then I'll talk about our next steps and answer any questions that you all have. Sound great? Here we go. I point over at Van. There we go. One of the most important reasons we should consider reducing unnecessary single-use plastics from our waste stream, as that waste reduction is a necessary strategy to prolong the life of one of the most critical pieces of critical infrastructure we rely on here, which is of course our landfill. In fiscal year '24, we threw away in Beaufort County over 150,000 tons of municipal solid waste. Only 12% of it was recycled. There are 5 items the county is considering adding to its 2018 plastic bag ordinance. All 5 of them are not recyclable through municipal solid waste streams. So we can address them on the front end, and that's really the only way we can address these unnecessary items. These items also contribute to litter in our area, which impacts other critical infrastructure like our stormwater management systems, and they also impact our wildlife through entrapment, entanglement, and starvation. Plastics particularly are problematic because they begin to break down once they are in our environment, and they become something known as microplastics, which are the microscopic little pieces of plastics as they break down. Scientists have found microplastics in the marine ecosystem, including in items that we enjoy here in the Low Country as our food, so shrimp, oysters, fish, crabs, and that means that microplastics are making their way into our bodies as well. Virtually everywhere scientists have looked in the human system, they have found microplastics. Once in our bodies, they are linked with increased rates of cancers and diseases, and they're pretty pervasive. They're even found in newborn babies' first bowel movements in the first 24 hours of life, which is pretty harrowing. It means they're moving through this generation into the next generation already as we speak. So, unfortunately, there's not really any global or national consensus on what to do about unnecessary single-use plastics, and where we have seen the greatest impact has been on the local level. So the 2018 plastic bag ordinance is an example of that, but we also have examples all up and down the coast on the eastern seaboard of communities taking action locally on these issues. So with that in mind, County Council asked staff to take a look at our 2018 ordinance and find ways we could strengthen it. We pulled together a multidisciplinary working group to tackle this multifaceted issue. We have representation from the Keep Beaufort County Beautiful Board, which really are on the front lines of litter pickup in our area. And I have a member here today, Jean. We had several of our staff departments are represented, including stormwater management, our solid waste and recycling department, our public information department, and our planning and zoning department. That's me. The Coastal Conservation League has been involved, and they really helped to spearhead that 2018 action. And then the Port Royal Sound Foundation is involved, and they, of course, are the bastion of protecting that really critical ecosystem that we all enjoy here and really has an impact on all of our lives in Beaufort County, the Port Royal Sound. So earlier this year, this working group developed 2 surveys, one geared towards businesses and one geared towards residents. It was deployed on the internet, and we used a lot of different strategies to try to get it in front of people. So we had a media and business outreach campaign. We worked with our public information officer to get our surveys in our traditional media, so it was in our newspaper several times. It was email blasted through the county at least 5 times. We had flyers printed and put in all of our public libraries. We worked with business associations to ensure that they were letting their membership know, like the Beaufort Chamber of Commerce and the Bluffton Hilton Head Island Chambers of Commerce. And we also did a business outreach campaign with the postcard that you see on the screen up here, where members of the working group went door to door in business districts handing out the postcard. The QR code would take people to the business survey specifically, because we wanted to make sure we captured business input on anything that we're thinking about with regard to the amendment. The survey ran from January 13th to April 3rd, so just under 3 months, and it asked for regulatory preferences, essentially, from our survey respondents. We ended up with a whopping 6,200 responses in just under 3 months. So 138 coming from our businesses, 6,062 residents responded. The pie charts you see in front of you break down the geographic regions from where our respondents are coming from, and you'll notice it's relatively even across both populations. We had about 1/3 of respondents coming from the Hilton Head and Defusky Island areas, 1/3 coming from the Bluffton Okatee area, and 1/3 coming from the northern Beaufort County area, which tracks with our population trends pretty closely. Yes,
Were you happy with that number of responses?
We were really happy with
Yeah.
6,200 total. I
That
think.
sounds like a lot, I just didn't know if that was.
Yes.
Hit what you were trying to
Yeah,
do.
it was more, I think it was more than we expected.
Okay, great.
And then this general
Yeah.
kind of evenness across the geographic distribution really signaled to us a region-wide consensus on what's to be done with all of these unnecessary single-use plastics. So there are 5, I hinted at that we're considering, and they are at the bottom of the screen: thick plastic bags, styrofoam takeout containers, styrofoam cups, plastic utensils, and plastic straws. There were 2 questions that were asked of both survey types, and the question that was being asked here is, how supportive are you of a complete ban on each of these items? And complete ban was presented in all caps so that nobody missed what we were asking. Now, this was specific to residents, and we were really interested to see how supportive residents are of regulation across the board here. So you can see in the brown is support, and the navy blue is the opposition. So we have majority support for getting rid of or eliminating each of these 5 items. I pulled the zip codes for Port Royal and also Beaufort since they overlap. So I wanted you all to be able to see what some of the local input is and hone in a little bit more closer here of northern Beaufort County. And you can see that it essentially mirrors what we saw region-wide. If I go back and forth between them, our percentages are almost exactly the same. Our businesses also across the board were more supportive of getting rid of the 5 items than not supportive of it. But the notable difference is with plastic utensils and plastic straws, we had higher rates of opposition. So this kind of hints to us that it's not going to be one strategy fits all for each of these items. You might have to pivot and do different things for each of the items. And then I pulled the Port Royal and Beaufort zip codes for our business respondents, and we do see very similar trends, but notably lots more opposition on getting rid of plastic utensils and plastic straws. Fortunately, we made sure to ask our survey respondents what type of regulation they think is the most effective. So this includes taking no action, which is the peach color. We've got by request only, that's the navy blue. That means that instead of automatically receiving something at the point of sale, you have to request it. So a straw, for example, if you ordered a drink, you wouldn't get that straw, you'd have to ask for it. The light blue is a customer fee, so customers would have to pay for it, and then the brown is elimination of ban. And what I'd like to point out is nowhere did taking no action rise to the top. There is a preference across the board for taking some sort of regulatory action. For plastic bags, styrofoam containers, and cups, our residents prefer to see bans, eliminating those and taking on a more eco-friendly option. For the plastic utensils and plastic straws, by request only really rose to the top for both of those. And Port Royal and Beaufort residents essentially mirrored that trend. When it comes to our businesses, we see a really similar preference trend as well, with the bans across the board for the plastic bags and styrofoam items. Support for by request only for plastic utensils, but interestingly, businesses were more supportive of bans on straws than residents were. So it just kind of goes to show that there's a little bit of disagreement on how to handle those last 2 plastic items. And then when you look at the Port Royal and Beaufort businesses, you're seeing really similar trends there as well. So, this isn't surprising. It reflects a larger low country effort to address these items. This chart shows you the 4 of the 5 items here. And you can see what action has been taken or not, depending on each of the locations to the north of us. So if we are to take any action here, it really fits the mold of what a lot of other places are thinking of doing or have done, and our efforts would be magnified by the fact that this is already happening elsewhere. Cost concerns were something that we heard and definitely something that we take seriously. And so we took a look at different sources for these types of materials to understand what the cost differences would be. So where you see the green, that means that there is a more expensive by, I think the most expensive item here is 8 cents more if you go the EcoWare option than if you went the traditional plastic option. But that most expensive item wouldn't be necessary under the amendments that we're thinking about. So it's really only a penny's more cost difference in the amendments that we're going to discuss here. We also wanted to understand how effective a by request only regulation could be. This is a case study out of Red Bank, New Jersey that was put into place last year on to-go orders only. And it was for cutlery and takeout condiments. And what they saw in the first year of it being in place is that there was a 94% reduction in the number of people walking away with these single-use plastic items. So for the plastic cutlery, that equated to over 1.5 million of plastic pieces of cutlery that did not enter the waste stream because people weren't automatically being given them. They had to ask for them, which is about just over 10,000 pounds of waste being removed from the waste stream. So it can be really effective, and it's worth noting that that means that that's 94% reduction in plastic cutlery that the businesses had to give away. So they're saving that stock and saving that money. So our survey results are really clear. Our residents and businesses want to see elimination and replacement of the styrofoam cups and takeout containers and the thick plastic bags. And they'd like to see or prefer to see by request only regulation in place for our plastic utensils and plastic straws. So our next steps, we've been going around talking with all of our 2018 partners from the plastic bag ordinance. You all may remember that every municipality wholly situated in the county adopted a very similar ordinance to the county, and the county wasn't even going to go into place until that happened. So we're hoping to mirror the way that worked then, because if the county is the only one to adopt this, it won't have nearly as big of an impact considering most of our businesses are in our municipalities. Once we complete our roadshow, is what we've been calling it, where we're taking one input from you, so feel free to give feedback, input, ask questions. Once we complete that, we have all of the feedback, we'll start developing our amendment language and start creating our implementation plan, and I've got a laundry list of what that's gonna look like. Here are the sources that were cited throughout the presentation in case you like to see primary sources like me. In the top right-hand corner is a link to the full report of our survey results. So it includes all of the questions that were asked of both our businesses and our residents. So you can take a look at that. The other questions had to do with behavior. So how often do you receive these things? What do you do with them afterwards? So on and so forth. And I flew through that, so please feel free to ask as many questions as you need to. And I'll try not to break things.
Nick, any questions?
I got a couple. What is the ask?
Oh, for you guys. The ask is that you all will partner with us when we get ready for amendments to adopt something similar to what we adopt so that we have a cohesive regulation kind of in place across the county to address this issue. That's the ask.
Okay, so when we talk about by request and customer fee stuff, isn't that something that can already be managed by a business without an ordinance? And telling them, it's like coming to my house and telling me I have to use a fork.
It is something that businesses can already put in place.
So why does it require an ordinance?
Well, what we have heard talking with, we were talking with the city of Charleston, is that many businesses didn't put this in place because they were looking for a government to say, you need to do this. And that way they could point to the government when customers ask them, why are you not giving me my straw, or why can't I use the bag that you usually have, that kind of thing.
So that's where the by request comes in, right? The
Right.
the
Yes.
customer manages that for us.
Yes,
They're asking us for those things. So when we say that it costs only pennies, it costs only pennies to who? And I would imagine that a business already wants to save money,
yes,
so they would hold on to that stuff. It's like McDonald's now charging you 25 cents or 27 cents for some more stuff,
right.
right? Like that's the thing about business. The business plan has to grow your business. It can't take away from it. I just, again, I want to understand better
Yep.
why it requires an ordinance to tell a business to offer something by request. It should already be in practice.
Right. Well, and I think if you think about, generally speaking, the hospitality business here, right, in the South especially, which those were my first jobs, were in the hospitality business. It is ingrained in you to meet everyone's needs before anyone ever knows it's a need that they have. And so you are putting a straw in there, even sometimes when people ask you not to have a straw because it is just rote that you do that. So this is to help shift behavior across the board so that it's not necessarily, so that you're kind of training on the front end and you're not losing.
Well, we're creating
all of that.
behaviors that we want. So training is a good word, right? So Five Guys, who else has, Culver's, all those places, when you go up there, they don't have a straw in the bag. You have to go and
That's
legitimately, consciously grab a straw.
Yes,
Right, so again, that is by request.
yes.
You know, that, again, in my heart, I'm thinking, why do I need to, as a councilman, tell anyone in the audience how to do, like, it's, like, by request, you have to do that. That's already in practice in much of our hospitality stuff.
Yes.
Where you're talking, I think, is like in a restaurant setting, where you show up and the waitress puts this glass of water in front of us, they also drop a straw.
Right.
Right, and there's a request there that, well, not a request, there's a choice that's gotta be made if I'm gonna take straw use. So, again, that's what I'm struggling with right now, to see how we divorce those, because one of them is obvious, that we're gonna get to a table, they're gonna give us a straw, because that glass has been used by several people, and maybe I don't wanna put my lips on it. But a disposable cup, where I can go home, pour in my own cup, and I don't wanna get the straw, I don't go to the straw place
Mhm.
and get the straw. So I don't know if it's making sense, but again, I don't see to tie somebody to an ordinance to, you're gonna do that because I wanna do this thing, and, you know, cause I think 2018 showed us a couple things about this, right? Like, is why we started and why we're looking at it again.
Right. Mhm.
Any lessons that we connected there that we think we're gonna grow from?
Well, I think one of the things that we learned is that if you're not especially specific with regard to the materials that the bags are made out of, you end up with the thicker plastic bags. And so that is one of the really common themes we heard in our survey results when residents and businesses could type in their concerns, was a lot of frustration with the thick plastic bags being the outcome of the 2018 plastic bag amendment.
I agree
Yeah.
with that 100%.
So at a minimum, what we want to do is make sure that we address that, because the intent was not to bring in those thick plastic bags. And we're taking a look at these other items while we're at it, and that's why we sent out that survey, in order to understand. But I think you made a good point, that it is about behavior and changing behavior when it comes to the by request only regulation.
Yeah, and again, I'll kind of leave it alone after this, but I'll come back to the pennies thing, that it is 9 more cents per container. And when we start to add that up, it's not 9 cents anymore for a business.
Right, and with regard to that container, so a styrofoam container.
I just use that one because
Yes.
that's the one that's the highest, right?
Yes.
Again, I use this with my kid all the time. He's like, Dad, it's only a penny. Okay, give me a penny. He doesn't have one. You see, it's only a penny till you need a penny. And then it's different.
Okay.
And so those are the things that, again, that concern me. And again, I'm all about it. I hope that I would love to partner with you guys on most things, because I love what we have going on here in our waterways and contributing to that and their health. I think that just throwing things kind of out there and say, since we're here, let's do these other ones. If they're not doing anything right now, then I'll have more questions as we move forward. And again, I enjoy that you're answering them and entertaining them for me, because I'm genuinely curious. I'm genuinely curious about this, because I think it is important for us to take a harder look at it.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
I'm good, thank you.
How do you foresee enforcement of this one?
So, it's a great.
If I'm at a table and I see the server drop a straw and no one asked for it, am
I think it's gonna take.
911? I'm just kidding, that was
No,
extreme, but, you know what I'm saying, like, how is
No.
enforcement? Because, I mean, I always think about that when we put in ordinances, I mean, they're only as strong as the enforcement. I mean, if there's nothing behind, there's no bite in any law, there's no enforcement to it, then it's really just kind of words. So how does that work out?
Yeah, I hear you. I think it is a kind of self-reporting thing that happens. So I know I've heard stories from when the 2018 plastic bag ordinance went into place, from people who went into businesses that were still using plastic bags, and they just alerted them to the fact that this ordinance has just been adopted, so you might want to go ahead and switch over, and notice that they've made the change. So there's going to be some self-enforcement in place. There's going to be a temporal transition from when it's adopted to when the regulation is actually active, so that businesses have an opportunity to know that this is happening. One of the things that our solid waste management department is thinking about is a training program, so that they can go out into the business districts and let businesses know, this is what's happening, here are alternative items you can use, here are flyers or brochures you can put at your checkout counter on your window, so that you can, when people say, why are you doing this, you can say, Beaver County's making me do this. So there's going to be a learning curve, I think, a little bit on the front end. And when it comes to enforcement later, I know that for us, it's a report to our codes enforcement, and
Yeah.
that's how it goes.
Well, I would just ask that if that does, you know, when it's passed and it becomes the law of the county, that, especially if we do with our enforcement, I think a trial here,
Mhm.
here's a warning, here's a second warning,
Yeah.
here's a third warning, all right, come on, like, you know, I mean, I just don't want it to be, and then also too, I think there should, and y'all probably thought about this, but some sort of, you know, when it passes, allowing businesses that have, that have stocked up on some of these
Yes.
to work through that supply that
Yes.
they've bought, and they've got a, warehouse full of bags and cups, and let them, not just burn that money, so. Okay, that was all,
Okay.
now the enforcement side of it.
I do have one question. I just think, I'm just thinking, looking at the bags, you said, well, we banned this and now they went to that. I remember when we talked about the bags and it was, oh, we don't wanna see them as we're riding down the road and they're floating along and all that stuff. And I don't see that anymore. I don't. I travel the whole county. I travel from here to Hilton Head to Bluffton to Alpha. I don't see like I used to.
Yeah.
I see styrofoam cups everywhere, but I don't see that.
Yes, yes.
And then I think when you go to buy chicken or meats or ice cream or something, you would put, at the grocery store, you would put stuff in to the plastic bag so you didn't have that contamination. What do you do in that case?
So those would not be included, the plastic bags that you're talking about that you
Right.
see in the produce section, and they weren't included in that original one.
Right.
So there are going to be some, what's the word? Yes, exceptions, thank you.
Okay.
So it's not gonna capture everything, but they are still in the area. This is a photo from Highway, 170
I live like
here.
Lemon Island right there.
Yes, and those are all,
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
yeah, big plastic Walmart bags. I'm not sure, it must have been a box or
horrible.
something that fell off of a truck or something there, but, no,
I think you have so
no.
many cars going to land, or so many trucks going to landfill, so many
Yes.
haulers going to landfill. That stretch of road is always just
You do see.
a lot of
the impact of
trash.
that. So if we're removing those things from ever even needing to get into the truck, hopefully that helps reduce some of that impact that we're seeing on the roadways.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, you do just see a lot of just litter, period. I mean, from insulation to, styrofoam cups. I mean, you ride down the road and you see ladders and tires and
It's
it's
an issue,
horrible.
yes, yeah. I didn't quote it, but it was almost 200,000 pounds of litter were picked up in Beaufort County in the first 5 months of this year, so that's not even
How about
halfway through the
enforcement of
year.
like loads in the back of pickup trucks and debris and things like that? Is there enforcement of that that's going on?
I know that we have regulations in place for that, at least I know in the city of Beaufort, that's where
Right.
I'm familiar with that, but I don't know the enforcement side of it.
That's
So
fine.
I can find out.
I just was kind of spitballing things here, just thinking out loud.
There's a big issue. Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
And, so, we love how beautiful it is here, we're all anything we can support with that, I think we all acknowledge that, and so I just wanna say thank you all for the very kind of detailed and thorough way you've gone about this, it's not just like I said, it's the road show, you sent out the surveys 5 times, and so you have been very transparent and thorough with it, so I really appreciate that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
I appreciate your
Thank
input.
you.
Absolutely. All right, up next, Police Department promotions.
Okay.
Chief Myers, come on down, sir. So we've got, 2 promotions
We have 2 promotions
and a
tonight.
swearing in.
Swearing in of a new officer. And hopefully you all remember, this is our chaplain and reserve officer.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
How they treating you, how they treating you so far?
So far, so
So
good.
far, so good, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. We're very happy and very honored to have him here. He's going to be administering the 3 oaths of office today. First officer we have here is Officer McMullen, PFC McMullen. She's been with us a little over 2 years, and she's being promoted up to corporal tonight. And a little bit about her also, she is the SRO, the new SRO for Riverview.
Oh, nice.
Great.
So she will be working there. If you'd like to place place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand.
I, announce your name,
I, Tajamia McMullen,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I am duly qualified,
that I am duly qualified,
according to the Constitution of this state,
according to the Constitution of this state,
to exercise the duties of this office
to exercise the duties of this office
to which I have been appointed,
to which I have been appointed,
and that I will equally,
and that I will equally,
fairly,
fairly,
impartially,
impartially,
and to the best of my ability,
and to the best of my ability,
discharge the duties thereof,
discharge the duties thereof,
and preserve,
and preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution of this state
the Constitution of this state
and of the United States,
and of the United States,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Whatever you'll do, sir.
Yeah, if you wanna do, let's do a family picture of each one individually, and then we'll do one with everybody.
Sounds good.
Okay, good. Back here. Come on, family.
That's an awful amount.
Yeah, everybody.
All family, come on.
Everybody, everybody.
All right, everybody, be ready in 1, 2, 3.
All right, congratulations again. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you. Yes, ma'am. All right, we got one more promotion.
Yes. Are you ready? The next promotion we have
Oh.
is,
Give me 1 sec. Yeah. Just a
TFC
Rocky.
Galindo and her new partner, K-9 Officer Rocky. PFC Galindo is being promoted to corporal. She's been with the department a little over 2 years. She's the first female handler in Port Royal that I'm aware of, probably in the area. And this is her new officer, Rocky, and as soon as we're done with the ceremony, Corporal Galindo will tell you a little bit about Rocky and answer any questions that you might have.
So this is Rocky. He was born May 26th of 2024. He comes from the Europe area. He's a German Shepherd. We spent 6 weeks training together. First couple weeks, can't say it was the easiest. I've been through Marine Corps boot camp, and I gotta say, 6 weeks of training with a dog is like completely different. It was definitely challenging, and he definitely challenged me a lot of the time that I was there.
A little bit extra, Rocky is a multi-purpose dog, which means he is trained in apprehension, he is trained in drugs, to locate drugs, and also for tracking. And she's a little modest when she says just the 6 weeks of training. Not only do they do the 6 weeks, which I've been dealing with canines for a lot of years, it is brutal. It's very brutal training. I give her a lot of credit for doing it. It was up in Pennsylvania, so she had to deal with the cold weather too. And not only that, every single Wednesday, the dog is only as good as the handler and the dog work together. So not only are they training every day when they're on the road and in their off time, but every single Wednesday, they are training as a group with Beaufort County, Beaufort City, and Bluffton. So the training is just nonstop for the rest of the dog, or for the rest of the lifetime of the dog. And other than that, council, do you have any questions before we do the oath?
Where does, Rocky stay when he's not on duty? Okay, gotcha. I didn't know how that worked, okay.
Yeah.
That's
They already
amazing.
did it on the street.
Oh, wow, okay.
Oh, yeah.
And you have another dog, right?
Yes, sir, I do. So far with the other dog, I've like slowly introduced him to Rocky. they're getting there to where they have the brotherly bond, but they don't even interact that much anymore. They're just walking by each other, playing with each other's toys, and that's about it. And then he goes back to the beach, but they're pretty good.
And the last little tidbit I'll throw in there is that, the dog training and all the equipment in the car, which is very expensive, was all paid for out of forfeited drug money. So nothing came out of the town budget.
That's nice.
All right, let's continue with the oath. Raise your right hand.
Oh. Oh.
I state your name,
I, Karina Ferglindo,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I am duly qualified,
that I am duly qualified,
according to the Constitution of this state,
according to the Constitution of the state,
to exercise the duties of this office,
to exercise the duties of this office
to which I have been appointed,
to which I've been appointed,
and that I will equally,
and that I will equally,
fairly,
fairly,
impartially,
impartially,
and to the best of my
and to
ability,
the best of my ability,
discharge the duties thereof,
discharge the duties thereof,
and preserve,
and preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend the
and
Constitution
defend the Constitution
of this state
of this state
and of the United States,
and of the United States.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Staff Sergeant Shaw will be, pinning the badge on her, and we also have a badge for her.
Is this a first, man? Is it first?
The chief's gonna do an apprehension thing for us.
Right here, okay.
Yeah. It's already a big hidden part of whenever Galindo comes into work, it was like, where's the dog? They don't care about her coming in anymore.
No, I'm watching it, look at me. I know you know I'm scared of you.
You know what's here? Here, part of it's missing.
Oh, wow.
The shallow creek where the dog was trained and it acquired the dog for us, I believe it was one of the siblings that probably nipped it off when they were born. However, we're trying to come up with the coolest story.
See, yeah.
Who else wants to be next?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
let's get all, the whole team.
Come on, the whole team. Come on in here, Colson. Come on in here, you got it.
Hi, back there.
Thank you.
Whole team.
Let's go put Rockies right there.
Colin, get up there.
All of it, come on.
Sean next to him. Come on.
The Mullins coming.
No, you. Come on.
Come on.
You can't get away like that.
There you go.
Mary Beth, scoot to your left, half step. Yep. Yep, that's perfect. All right. Yep, here we go, and 1, 2, 3.
All right. Awesome. Great job.
Welcome aboard, Rocky.
That's pretty cool.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. Have you ever sworn? Okay. Okay, just really.
State trooper.
Okay.
Never swore with him.
Okay.
I was waiting when you put a palm in the mouth.
I was just.
Yeah.
Just real quick, and we'll get out of your hair, but I did want to let you know, that Officer Grace Mufford has been named our new traffic officer.
All right, thank you very much.
And see her out there in the month.
Oh, no. George, yeah.
She gets to drive a Mustang?
So now I know who I got outrun.
Thank you, Chief, that was great, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Sean.
Reserve officer, so I can have a shot at that thing.
Right.
They do the ride-along. I don't know if you can request what you need to ride. Yeah, yeah. That was really great stuff. Second, kind of. So, moving right along. Up next, we've got our council briefing. Yep.
Are we ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. The only one thing I really wanted to add is that I did attend the follow-up meeting with the Housing Trust today. Brooke and I attended. They were putting together a list of recommendations based upon kind of what they consider the blueprint for change relative to housing, something we participated in about 6 weeks ago. And we did have a presentation from the former economist, federal economist, Laura Ulrich, giving us some information relative to jobs and growth and housing and supply and demand in the state of South Carolina and as well as nationally. And obviously, we're trending in a direction of growth, significant growth. We're probably the fastest growing state in the country, using some metrics. And it talked about job growth as well. So needless to say, based upon a number of those factors, we're dealing with a housing issue. Council Chair Howard was there as well, and obviously identified that despite what you see, there is a housing shortage in Beaufort County. And so there were a number of recommendations that were suggested based upon the input they received from private sector partners concerning impact fees and what they do to housing costs and needing to revisit those. Shortening the approval processes that we all undertake to see things from beginning to end. Sometimes I think 18 months. Just for an understanding, depending upon the location of the project, you may have the Corps of Engineers involved, you may have the Department of Environmental Services, Beaufort Jasper Water and Sewer Authority, as well as the local permitting agency. They also wanted a review of our aesthetic standards, particularly for housing that might not be in what I would consider historically sensitive areas, so that there's some predictability of cost. If you look at hardy plank versus vinyl, I think it had significant cost to a unit. And they also wanted all of the partners to really take a look at ADUs and how they could be utilized to help address some of the housing shortages that we're seeing. It's a little stunning, you know, we always heard the standard that you're supposed to only spend about 30% of your take-home income on housing, and we're at well over 50, and I think well over 60% in a lot of cases when you look at median incomes for take-home pay for housing. And despite the fact that we're seeing some reduction in rates, we're never going to be where we were before, 2-3%. And so this is a trend that will continue, and you know, it's probably going to continue through 2050. So we've got to come up with something if we intend to address housing and affordability as a county, and they've asked us all to consider these things. I think there'll be a more formal request potentially in the future as to how that we can address the processes and aesthetic standards, and even coming up with a palette book of approved designs so that we don't go through the review process and extend that out for an indefinite period, which does happen.
When they say that we have a housing shortage, are we talking single-family home shortage or just general housing shortage?
General housing shortage. And then when you look at the median cost of a home here, it's not attainable for even middle-class folks. Yeah. The magical $300,000 house doesn't exist. They gave an example of one larger development that when it started, the houses were in the $275,000 to $300,000. They're doing their final phase right now, and basically the same houses are now selling for $500,000. They're the ones that are being built by this larger builder. So it's very challenging, and you probably know this, for some buyers right now. And we're a service-oriented economy, and we cannot provide housing for those folks that are providing services to our population.
The populations don't match, right? Like the people who come to live here and that work here are two totally different ends of the spectrum on the income scale.
Yep.
It's kind of what we're faced with every day, so it's a skills gap. Not necessarily, because again, we all complain, or we have heard complaints a lot of why we did our moratorium on multifamily housing is because there's too many going up, right? So the Lowe's over there gets a lot of bad rap. But again, until we are able to gap that skills gap, then those are even gonna continue to be unaffordable. And so I guess I don't know what their ask is either when they're saying we're gonna throw things at you to help this thing. Through
Well,
aesthetics, through
they had
vinyls.
sitting in the room, realtors.
Right, so
builders.
like, I live in Shadow Moss.
Yeah.
My community standards say that we can use vinyl.
Right.
A community developer can put those things in place. Where in the village, we manage that guideline because it's here in the town and all that stuff.
Well, if our standard said no vinyl, then
Right.
Shadow Moss couldn't build vinyl.
So
So that's
we have
happening.
something like that in place already, right? So we can help that.
We do
if
allow
can.
some exception for that material, but it still goes through it can go to the design review board, or
Mhm.
the staff level approval. And one of the things they pointed out is, with impact fees, before you even think about going vertical, you're what, 25, 30,000 deep?
Yeah, right about. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I mean, I'm just saying that, like, so we have some things that we can lean in and
Right.
say, hey, we can help that way
Yeah.
if they come and ask.
And we have responded accordingly. Personally, I think some of our study standards did get relaxed in some areas,
Mhm.
which helped accommodate that.
I'd be interested to see kind of what their recommendations are.
And I put that presentation in your folder.
Awesome, thank you for that. Yeah,
And the
that's
economic forecasting and information provided by the economists.
Awesome.
So was kind of the consensus, like, more of a tweaking around the edges of looking at the planning, the aesthetics and that, or is it just that, do they think we can just build our way out of this?
I'm not sure I think it's refining the process, timelines, shrinking, the carrying cost of money is significant. So, from beginning to end, if you're borrowing money to do a project, and in theory, in a lot of ways, you're almost pricing out smaller developers, local developers, because the only ones that have the depth and the finances to take on significant projects, or even a project of any scale, have to be national. So that's, not necessarily a good thing. So they're just asking process and about some of this costs upfront. Alice, you wanna add anything to that?
I agree. It's kind of scary because the interest rate, she was definitely said the interest rate's not gonna go down, which we're kind of counting on, I think. Short of a recession, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, they'll
We
move a
gotta
little
live
bit,
with
not where they were.
5%. Yeah, we don't want that, so.
Is there any talk about, and I don't know, I've always just wondered this market, is it different because of our heavy military influence here? And stipends that people get, and, if you're in the military, I don't know what stipends are now, does that affect the
I think
market?
it had more to, I just think
Ms.
that,
Howard?
I think it had more, you
Yeah,
want me to come in?
yeah, if you don't mind.
All right. Just from what I got from the economists, it has more to do with our growth of our population is older. And so healthcare workers wanna come here and wanna live here. But, nurses and LPNs and phlebotomists and people like that can't find a place to live if they're right out of nursing school necessarily. And she really talked a lot about the accessory dwelling units, not short-term rentals, but accessory, to get people to move here, to get their feet on the ground, to be in the health. She talked a lot about the health industry, and of course, hospitality industry. Yeah, but not about the military, the BOB, the basic housing allowance. She didn't say anything about that.
I just didn't know if that had any effect on our market, with having we love our military here, of course, and we wouldn't, if you're in the military, you do get that,
Yeah.
so you start off with.
But there are empty houses at Laurel Bay too.
Yeah.
And people like, teachers and nurses and, I know the sheriff's department, they can move there.
And I thought Paris Island is allowing some
They are.
civilians now as well.
They
So
are.
there was a factor also, and then also a lot of people up north are retiring and coming up here where the cost of living is
Because
higher.
of cost of living.
And so you adjust that and to afford, and it said also to afford a $1,200 a month mortgage, that household median income should be $45,000 a year. And you're paying $1,200 for the house, and you're not making $45,000 a year, you're already in the deficit.
You already did. And he did give us homework to do all the local governments in 6 months to see if we've come up with any, ways to do some of those things that we can do or not. 18 months is ridiculous to have to, and I'm sure the county's guilty of that, just like anyone else, to get something approved. You can't carry, you know, if you're building, you can't carry that for 18 months.
But we always want to figure out ways, we talked about that earlier today, of any way we can make that process more efficient and streamlining it. Did they give what's the goal, what should a house cost? What's the number a house should be that everyone, the nurses and teachers, everyone can afford?
I think it was, honestly, it was around $300,000.
Okay. Gotcha, all right.
And yeah, I just threw some stuff up there, but it's in your folder.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I think that, they want something, you said.
Is that
6
Fort
months?
Royal?
6 months.
Okay.
No, that's part of the
Is
presentation.
that Fort Royal next year?
With an RC.
Oh, no. We don't allow this for everybody.
Within 6 months, we will have a council retreat. I think, let's kind of, look at that. And like I said, I think that's something we really can't focus on is the process and how do we streamline and make it as efficient as possible. If there's, ways we can do that.
And just we did have a meeting with Buford Jasper last week, working out any sort of utility complex on the number of projects. I think we made a fair amount of progress there.
Okay. Anything from council?
No, sir.
I had a few things from Ben. Any update on the insurance routes?
We did receive the waiver form from the adjacent properties, so we will be submitting the application.
So we have everything we need.
Yes,
Nice.
yes.
Great.
We got the way.
We did.
Great news.
Thank you to the business owners out there for making that happen. We're really excited about this. For next steps on that is to get that submitted. Of course, the federal government needs to fully open back up because the Corps of Engineers will be the permitting agency on that. And, but once we get that in, it's gonna be just kind of pushing them as quickly as we can. Like I said, we've got the funds ready and we've got the design ready, and we had somebody reach out to us today with, what they say, they had 6 shrimp boats looking for a place to put them, so.
I did ask, make sure they do.
Make sure they were working, yeah. So we wanted to get that going as soon as possible. Something else I wanted to mention, just because staff's here, we talked about that earlier, something that Mary Beth, we discussed yesterday at our Veterans Day Parade, which was a lot of fun, thank you to everybody that was there, is doing something, we wanted to do something, before the end of the year for our business owners. I know we usually have a breakfast, and so we wanted to see if it was possible, and I think we've talked about it, and having something in council chambers for our, local small business owners, have them come in here, let's serve them breakfast, maybe that last week, the week before Christmas, before everybody gets out of here, something, maybe at, 8:30-ish, so we can get a good turnout. Just so we can kind of say thank you to them, thank you for the people that invest their time, their energy in the town, and also hear from them, because we really want to focus on that, going forward. We've got some initiatives with those incubators that we're going to do, and I think next year, will be a great priority for us to really kind of work on that small business relationships and the Paris Avenues and the Rebo Roads and our corridors, and how do we really push that? Because we've done a lot of great work over the past 2 years with, our capital projects, infrastructure, and so now, so we just, if that's something that we can make happen, can we make that happen?
Sure.
Well, we didn't do it.
We can find a caterer, yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Otherwise, y'all be cooking.
I can do, and bacon and eggs, I got it, absolutely. And we can bring in, we had a meeting earlier with the Economic Development Corporation, they said they'd like to be there and talk to, small business owners about ways that they can help, and bring in the chamber, and again, just kind of get everybody, we really believe in that cooperation up here in community, so if we can get everybody together, talking, hopefully we can just keep, good ideas, good energy going forward, so if we can make that happen, thank you all so much.
You can get a caterer lined up, it shouldn't be an issue.
You keep saying that, Mike,
It's like a week before Christmas.
I got you.
Oh, yeah.
Let me know.
Do you know how many people usually come? You've been there.
That's no problem. All right. We can do it.
We'll wear hairnets.
Yeah, we can serve them.
Wear hairnets, yeah, we need it.
One more thing I did want to let everybody know, we had a great conversation today with, a woman with the cruise ships. The cruise ships, if you saw, they started back last week. They will be coming until May, that is their season. We've got a schedule from them about when they'll be here. We'll put that out. We've just gotten that schedule about when they're exactly will be here. Sometimes that can change weather permitting, but we do know when they will be in town. We've confirmed with them too. We've seen they told us, we're on the menu. And so they actually, I was like, what does that mean? Send me this menu today. So they actually sent that to us and showed us the information that the passengers get when they dock here. We do have, literally there's a menu that they get given that says, here's in Port Royal, it's got our restaurants listed, it's got shops listed and things like that. I think we could upgrade that a little bit. There's probably some that we're missing on there. Again, I think this breakfast will be a great time to kind of encourage them all, because they did talk about, if you know small business owners, if you see any of them for the next week, they asked if they have place cards, let them know. They will give them the place cards when they get off the ship. Because really, that's what it is. I was like talking through the process. I'm a passenger on your boat. And remember, these boats are elderly. There's no children. It's all 55 and up, 65 and up couples. They come in. And just making note, it's not a Disney Carnival cruise stopping there. It is a specific type of cruise.
Glad
that's
no
stopping.
elderly now.
I was gonna say the same thing, yeah, it's like 55 and
Well,
up.
I'm over that.
Wise, mature, seasoned, what do you want me to say, sorry. But yeah, so I think it's important to know the demographic that's landing there. Like I said, it's not a Disney cruise with a bunch of, kids getting off. Exactly, so they get off and they get given the option, they can go to the city of Beaufort. The city of Beaufort has its, some of its tours listed and shops there, and they have the Port Royal, and then they provide transportation. Those are the buses that you see that take them there, but those buses can also get them to places, and they have smaller modes of transportation that can take them to places in the town. They have a certain amount of time, basically, they get off the boat, and they gotta get back on the boat. So, I just wanna say that to let everybody know that we've, like I said, had a great phone call with them today. We are on the menu. It's actually a thing they get given with all of the restaurants and shops in there. Again, I looked at it, we can update it and put some more on there. And again, just let our business owners know if they have place cards, if they have things that they would like to put into someone's hands. They told us, give us those, and we will hand them to them when they land. So, just wanted to put that out there. Again, I think that'll be a great thing to bring up at the breakfast,
You're also.
if you can find a cake.
I did.
Not your cooking. The museum, the historic.
Absolutely.
Foundation has-
They have place cards.
That's what I was gonna tell you, they've been working really hard on, a map, and it really looks nice. So, and they'll be doing some truckles, I think, and that will be a great place that we can get some, to be able to hand to them to come off.
Absolutely.
Well, we are now a visitor center, and we
Right.
have pamphlets we went around to a lot of the businesses, we have pamphlets from all the different
Step up,
businesses.
yeah.
We'd like to get involved.
Perfect, absolutely. Yeah, so that was great, like I said, had that conversation today with them. Okay, that's enough for me. Anything else on council briefing?
No.
Okay, all right. Up next, public comment. I did not receive any public comments for agenda items, so we will move into.
He's got yours. Marcy's. Showing.
Yeah, this is a non-agenda item. Yeah, we do agenda item comments at the beginning, non-agenda items at the end. I got you right here,
I'll be patient.
don't you worry. I got you right here.
I was watching it.
Yeah, so like I said, which makes sense, you do the agenda items before we discuss the agenda items, non-agenda items at the end, so yeah. Okay, first, we've got second readings, 2025-17, an ordinance to amend ordinance 1-12, chapter 2, article 2, division 1, section 2-28, compensation of the town of Fort Worth Code of Ordinances for the purposes of amending council compensation. I'll entertain a motion. Second, okay. Any discussions about this? Public hearings, workshops, retreats, we've talked about it for quite a long time. With that, I will entertain a all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Up next, second reading, 2025-18, an ordinance to amend Articles 1, 7, 8, 9, and 10 of the Development Code of the Town of Fort Royal. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion, comments about 2025-18? Thank you again, Noah, and your staff and the planning commission on all your hard work with that. That was a very heavy lift, and y'all got that done. We presented that to you at the retreat. Got it done, so thank you so much. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Love it. Next, 2025-19, an ordinance to repeal ordinance 2025-11, and to amend the business license ordinance of the town of Port Royal to adopt the most current business license schedule as required by Act 176 of 2020. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Okay, and, Dan, as we talked about before, this is just keeping us in compliance with
The state
the
legislature.
Act 176 from the state. Absolutely. Okay. With that, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay. Rolling along, up next, council action, approval of the village's stormwater improvement bid.
We received 3 bids. This is obviously for stormwater drainage work to be done down.
Really quick, just want to say thank you to
Oh, thank you.
Chairwoman Howard, absolutely.
We've got a workshop.
I got you.
Thank you.
Good luck, and thank you for being here.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that.
That's all right, it's for the drainage work proposed for the villages. And we received 3 bids. You can see the bids below. Staff reviewed the bids for validity and endorses the CVG bid for $375,125.
If you could, really quick, I know we talked about it last week, but just kind of when you say the village's drainage project, where are we?
9th, 10th, and 11th Street on this side.
Okay,
There's obviously some dated stormwater materials, and we're looking at addressing the system in the alleyways as well.
okay,
We will be resurfacing those roads and still putting the infrastructure in at that point, as well as addressing the infrastructure along the roads themselves. You know, we have sidewalks constructed in that area, however, oak trees have wreaked a little bit of havoc on the system as well as the sidewalks, so we're addressing some of the depressional areas, and making proper connections and addressing the system so that we have adequate drainage for and this is, grant funded as well.
great. Penny, did they give, did any contractors, did they give an indication on when they could commence?
This one, it obviously will be after the first of the year.
Okay.
We're not getting cranked up, hopefully not before then.
Okay. Yeah, just make sure, we just get the word out to all.
Yeah, we're putting
residents
together
and
the contract now, and we'll be able to.
Just let them, everyone that'll be, disrupted by it, make
We
sure
will
they're.
put out, yeah.
They're aware.
information.
Okay. With that, I will entertain a motion that we approve. Well, I'll entertain a motion.
Good contract with CBG for $375,100.
I'll make a motion to approve contract with CBG in the amount of $375,125.
I'll second.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you very much, that's exciting. That's good. Okay, up next, council action, something we discussed last week with Dean Moss, to authorize the establishment of a committee to develop a detailed master plan for the waterfront area between 10th and 12th Street to address layout, access, parking, and integration with planned shrimping facility, I believe, trash, all that will be involved in that. So, this was something that Dean Moss, as anyone knows, is very, very, very involved with the Spanish Moss Trail. As you can see, that is coming across Riveau Road. Should be done here by the end of the year. They're gonna start installing the hawk light on that. You can see people are already starting to use it, which might not be the best idea, but they are. And so with that coming into the town, we wanted to, he brought up a great point, we really need to work on this area of fish camp, shell ring, trail meeting, roads, parking, sidewalks, trash, a lot going on. We're gonna be building back a shrimp dock with a seafood facility at some point. There's a lot going on in that area, and we wanna try and be proactive about that and not reactive about it. And so we can get together with town staff, stakeholders from fish camp, shell ring, the trail, the town, and kind of get something in plan so we know once that development starts what we're shooting at. And we've already got that approved by the town. So I think that's a great idea, because then once they come to us, we'll say, right here, look at this one. We've already got it. We already did the work for you. So, again, a plan that was brought to us by Dean Moss. And with that, I'll entertain a motion that we authorize the develop a detailed master plan for the waterfront area. There we go. All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. I think now we'll just reach out to those stakeholders and see who their representative they want to be, all right? Up next, important dates.
Yes, Saturday, November 15th, third annual holiday market on Paris Avenue. This is from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Thursday, November 20th, Historic Port Royal Foundation, third Thursday at Live Oak Park from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Monday, November 24th, the Planning Commission meeting at 5 p.m. And then Thursday and Friday, November 27th, 28th, Thanksgiving holiday, our offices will be closed. And are there any other dates y'all like to see?
November 13th, tomorrow, the Historic Port Royal Foundation wishes 5 o'clock to 7.
Absolutely.
I'd just like to add a little bit of substance to Thursday, November 20th, for Thursday. It's also gonna double as a food drive benefiting Help of Beaufort, if you can and are able to. Clean hygiene items, non-perishables, the like that can help, the Help of Beaufort. Thank you.
And I know we all talk about it, and I don't have any other dates, but just, you know, we've got the holiday market coming up, and I would just encourage everybody, if you can, you know, try to attend these, shop local, this Christmas season. You know, I know it's very easy, I'm guilty of it sometimes, you know, on the sofa, Amazon, TikTok shop, and that's fun, and that has its place, but, you know, these people that live around here, people that invest their time and their energy into their local markets, they use a lot of local ingredients, they employ people, we talk about people working in jobs, and, you know, I was looking at a statistic the other day, something like 55 or 60% of South Carolinians work for small businesses. They don't work for large corporations, they work for small businesses. Small businesses need us, and sometimes I worry that in the, you know, the technology age that we live in, that they get forgotten because it's so easy, again, to be on the sofa, oh, that looks nice, bye. I get it. It's very easy, but at the same time, to have a strong community, we need to be supporting each other in ways that we can. They talk about Beaufort, donations, but also this holiday market. You go down there and if you can, spend a little money with them, not only will you make their day, not only will you make them better, you'll make all of us better. So, if you can do it, try and be down there. So, and like I said, and just shop and eat local, there you go. And just try to do that, you know, just be cognizant of that if you can. I understand. So, all right. Any other dates to add?
No.
Hearing none, we will move to public comment for non-agenda items. Ms. Marcia, yes. Come on down.
Your turn, come on down.
Greetings, council and town staff. I'm Marcy Roy, and I'm with HPRF and the museum. We've kicked off several different events, and I'm here just really to bring more awareness and gather more people into these events. We have started Third Thursdays. We've done that for 2 months now, and we'll have it, we're gonna skip December, but we're gonna have it in November. So please come down, and like you said, we're gonna do a food drive, and we're gonna continue to do food drives on Third Thursday. We also have coffee and conversation. That's at 8 o'clock in the morning on Wednesdays, and it's really gotten to be quite an event, because we, instead of having people come in and kind of complain about what you guys are doing, we have guest speakers come in, and they've been so informative. We've brought in a lot of the business owners throughout Port Royal. We brought Greg Shelton in from Economic Development. We had help there today. It's just been really special, and we don't have a large audience, and it's kind of nice that we're all in the museum just enjoying it. But I think people would really benefit from coming to coffee and conversation. And so we have that, and then tomorrow night, we're gonna have oyster rolls, and that's a membership drive. We are gonna be providing free oysters. Mike is gonna be cooking, and we're bringing in different chilies and desserts. But what we really wanna do is bring members back into the museum. We're down to 50 members, and it's, you know, it's an annual membership. We're gonna have a membership table there, and we really, would like it if people would sign up again. We have really reasonably, priced memberships for, military and teachers. It's $25, and that's for the family. And then, we have retirees, are $35, and then if you're just regular, but, you know, with a family or single, then it's $50. So if you can come in, or come tomorrow night and have a great time, we'll have music there. We'll, probably also have a food drive, I think, tomorrow night. But it should be fun, and hopefully it'll be warm enough. But do you have any questions for me? No?
No questions. I will say, thank you all, you guys are doing a great job. I know a lot of us will be there tomorrow night. But absolutely, let's get together about that cruise ships, and if you, like I said, you guys are having a map, if you've got place cards, if you wanna go rally up some more, let's work on that and get those in their hands. Because again, we have a commitment from them. They basically said, anything you give us, we will give them. They get I learned this today, the passengers basically get a packet, like a harbor packet, whenever they dock, they say, here's the information for where you're at. So, if we can start putting that stuff together, we'll make sure that gets in their hands.
So we did have, they did come one time to the museum,
Okay.
but it was a busload of people who were, I'm not gonna say elderly, but, they needed to sit down, you know? And they didn't all fit in the museum. So
Okay.
we need to figure out, you know, how to bring smaller numbers into the
Okay.
museum. And like I said, we're becoming a visitor center, and we're gathering information, and we're working, you know, with the different businesses that have information about everybody.
Okay, great.
So did I miss anything, right? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one thing I wanted to add, Christmas tree lighting December 3rd.
I was just thinking that, yep. So our next, as everyone knows, you know, the first Wednesday of every month is always our workshop. However, in December, that is when we light the Christmas tree. The kids sing, we have special guests show up for the kids. It's a real treat, something I know we all look forward to. So that will be, what is that, 6 o'clock?
Yeah.
Yes.
It'll be after that, and the golf cart parade's coming up right before that too. So, the holiday season in Fort Worth is always very, magical time. So with that, I'll open it up to council comments. Start on my right. Councilman Guerrero.
Also, I'm gonna hit you guys with something I missed last week's workshop, for something pretty special to me. I was asked to go to Las Vegas, which was just horrible request, to go and serve as a guest of honor for a Marine Corps birthday ball, which is pretty special, be the 250th for the Marine Corps. And so I couldn't be here for that, and I asked the mayor and others to please include that date in there. And, you know, unless you've been to a Marine Corps birthday ball, a lot of us don't understand what's so special about them and kind of how the camaraderie is built and those things. So there's one really special part of the ceremony that I want to share with you guys today. It's General John A. Lejeune, he's our 13th Commandant, delivered his message to the force, and it kind of, it puts it all together as far as who we are, what we are, why we are the way we are as Marines. And I think it's pretty important. You know, we get over 20,000 young Marines that leave this town every year, knowing and understanding that they're going into harm's way at a certain point in their career, no matter how short or long it is. And we trust that they are going to do that for us. And I think gaining a better understanding of who we are and becoming ingrained with the Marine Corps Recruit Depot Parris Island will help us better appreciate who we are as a community, right? Marcy called me, Rosie left me a voicemail last week, earlier on the weekend, you know, seeing that the shutdown may carry on, you know, trying to rally support to help feed military families and GS workers and those kind of things. And, you know, when I sat back and thought about it, as we were all kind of pulling efforts, you know, I told my wife, like, man, this is pretty cool. You know, without it ever having to ask, our community always just comes together. And I think kind of putting those things together and those puzzle pieces together will really help us appreciate what those young men and women go through on MCRD Parris Island. Because Delindo's right, it's not a cakewalk. There's nothing fun about being on Parris Island. And, you know, the Marine drill instructor doesn't look at a recruit being there for 90 days as a goal to graduate. It's a deadline that we get to train them to be the world's finest fighting force. to go on and do the Lord's work for us. So if you'll indulge me just a bit, I'm going to read this. He read this out to his force in November 1st, 1921. On November 10th, 1775, a Corps of Marines was created by a resolution of the Continental Congress. Since that day, many thousand men have borne the name Marine. In memory of them, it is fitting that we who are Marines should commemorate the birthday of our Corps by calling to mind the glories of its long and illustrious history. The record of our Corps is one which will bear comparison with that of the most famous military organizations in our world's history. During 90 of the 146 years of his existence, the Marine Corps has been in action against our nation's foes. From the Battle of Trenton to the Argonne, Marines have won foremost honors in war. And in the long eras of tranquility at home, generation after generation of Marine have grown gray in war in both hemispheres. And in every corner of the 7 seas that our country and its citizens might enjoy peace and security. In every battle and skirmish since the birth of our Corps, Marines have acquitted themselves with the greatest distinction, winning new honors on each occasion until the term Marine has come to signify all that is highest in military efficiency and soldierly virtue. This high name of distinction and soldierly repute, we who are Marines today have received from those who preceded us in the Corps. With it, we also receive from them the eternal spirit which has animated our Corps from generation to generation and has been the distinguishing mark of Marines in every age. So long as that spirit continues to flourish, Marines will be found equal to every emergency in the future as they have been in the past. And the men of our nation will regard us as worthy successors to the long line of illustrious men who have served as soldiers of the sea since the founding of our Corps. It's no small feat to earn the title Marine. It just isn't. And it happens here every day, and it's amazing. So thank you for indulging that. Happy birthday, Marines. I couldn't say it last week. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you for your service, John.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you.
And, yeah, on that birthday party, they had the, Bellawood Tavern had a ceremony the other day that was really special too, and something we're excited about to see come to fruition in the town. So, council comments, I'll continue with Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, just so everybody knows, the AMVETS in Port Royal, you know, we think about the military, the young families that can't have Thanksgiving because they can't afford the food. So the AMVET Ladies Auxiliary, we are doing 10 baskets for Thanksgiving. The men's have decided that they were gonna do 10, they will match us. And the VFW has also came in and matched us with 10 baskets. So we'll be delivering, or not delivering, they'll be picking up on Saturday. Each individual, they've notified them already, 30 families that we will provide a Thanksgiving dinner to. And at Christmas, we'll be doing the same thing, and we'll also do a Children's Day for the children of the AMVETS, and anybody that wants to come. Santa will be there. They'll do a pancake breakfast. We're gonna do cookie decorating and stuff. So it really, it does help our community, and we support the military. I'm a member of AMVETS. Anybody that family was a member of the armed services, you know, we welcome you to come join us, the Ladies Auxiliary or the men's team. But we do great things for our community, and I just wanted people to know that what they're doing and they'll continue to do.
Absolutely, thank you so much, Mayor Pro Tem, for everything. Awesome. Councilman Owens.
Nothing other than, yesterday we, observed Veterans Day, so I salute all of those veterans that have served and are currently serving in our armed forces to protect our great country and making it the place that we, live today. And it's fitting also, with the Marine Corps celebrating 250 years. I'm a dependent of a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. So, congratulations to them, and, we just love this great town of Port Royal and everyone within it, and we love our neighbors as well.
Thank you very much. All right, absolutely, couldn't have said it better myself. With that, I'll entertain a motion that we adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, thank you very